building the business turns you into a different kind of human being.
Realize that failure is a part of the journey.
I think there's hope out there for all of us.
They say procrastination be the assassination of destinations. That's why we out here grinding with no association with haters and them other crabs trying to put us down. Pest badges in the house, boy, don't clown. Just keep your eyes on the prize, ain't no giving up. You can do whatever you dream of. Just keep your eyes on the prize, ain't no giving up. You can do whatever.
Super excited about today. You know, we hooked up a couple weeks ago, went back and forth. So I got to get this guy on the podcast. You know, he's in our Pest Control Millionaire group. I knew he's doing big things. Didn't know his whole story till we kind of just jumped on. Still don't know it all, but there's some good nuggets that we pull out of this one for sure. So I want to welcome Tony Carter to the show. He owned formerly Active Pest Control, sold it in 2019. They're doing $24 million in revenue when they sold. And you guys sold it to Rent-A-Kill? Yeah, cool. And then they started TruNorth Pest Control. They've been in business for 24 months. They're based out of Florida in Georgia. So got 2 locations within 24 months. So there's going to be a lot to unpack here. So Tony, welcome to the show, man.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Jonas. I've enjoyed watching all your shows lately.
Cool. I appreciate it. Man, there's a lot to talk about here. Where do we even start? So you got in the industry because your dad, he started a pest control company, right?
Yeah. So I started when I was 16, like a lot of other people. Kind of worked under him from 16 till I was 34 years old, and he retired in 2004. And so I come from a big family. I have 7 siblings.
Gotcha. Where do you fall?
I'm in the middle.
In the middle?
I'm in the middle. So none of them were interested in the business at the time. It was much smaller. So we decided that best for me to buy the business, keep the family feud down. So I bought the business in 06. And then I grew the business from 06 to 2019. We started out about $4 million, kind of like a lot of other young entrepreneurs. I got sideways and did a sanitation company for a couple of years. I built a heating and air business, trying to do them all under one brand, and finally realized one day that, you know what, I'm good at pest control.
We'll come back to that too.
Yeah. Put all my eggs back in that basket in probably 2012, and we took off. We went from about 13 million a year to 24 million in about 5 years. And, you know, with everybody, Rent-A-Kill started coming around, knocking on everybody's doors. And after about 2 or 3 years of telling them no, I was like, why would I not? You know, the number kept getting bigger. The multiple kept getting bigger. And then I went back and met with my dad and said, hey, I've got an offer for the business. And he kind of looked at me and said, well, what's your legacy? And I said, well, my legacy will be my kids. It will never be this business. And he said, you've made the right decision. You need to go ahead and do it. So sold in 2019 and worked for Rent-A-Kill for a year, learned a lot under them because I'd never been with a corporate company before. So I was able to kind of access and look at some of the structure and what they did right. Of course, some of the things they did wrong. You know, everybody knows nobody's perfect and everybody has their own way of doing it. So left in 20 and started a sanitation company with my son. We did that for 5 years. And he wanted to get back in the pest control business, and I kind of was itching back at it as well. So we started looking at some people we knew in the industry and people that were former employees. So we bought 3 small companies in early 2024 and put all them together. That gave us about a $1.4 million a year in revenue. And we finished our first 12 months at 5.8 million with 5 locations. So we've got the pedal down going pretty hard.
That's so awesome. Again, there's lots to unpack there too. Let's take a way back though. Let's go back to when you're 16. Walk me through the progression from where you started, you know, as a technician or wherever you started, and then you come up through the business until you bought it.
Oh yeah. So just like a lot of young men, you know, my dad's like, hey, I've got this business. I knew I wasn't going to go to college. So I was one of those kids that got out of school at 10:45 every morning. I would meet my grandfather down at the McDonald's in town, and we would have lunch, and then we would go do termite treatments every day. So from about 11:30 to 6 every day, my 10th, 11th, and 12th grade year, I worked in the business. So all my friends in school would joke because I would pull up in a new car every 6 months, you know, but I was working a full-time job, you know, in high school. The sad part was I was blowing all that money and not saving it like, I've been teaching kids today to do, you know. So did the termite tech thing from 16 to probably 21. Then I went on a pest control route, did that for 3 or 4 years. And then I knew that I needed to be in sales. My dad did too. He's like, hey, got the gift of gab and understanding talking to people. So after doing service work for about 7 or 8 years, you kind of know exactly what to tell homeowners. You can explain it better than anybody. And I kind of still use that today in my business. I try to get people that are in technician roles and promote them into sales roles because they can explain the service, the preventions, the pest pressures and things of that nature to their clients or homeowners when they're dealing with them every day.
That's really cool. When you were 16, I don't know if you know the answer to this, but where do you think you're at in revenue then?
Oh, wow. So it was just my dad. He was a salesperson, another guy by the name of Phil Williams, and then a couple of pest control techs. So my dad started the business from scratch in 1985. So I started in 88. So I'm thinking he wasn't even $1 million a year,
And then when you took over the company, you were doing about 4 million, right?
Correct. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
So when you get to that $4 million revenue, your dad wants to exit. How did you come up with the cash, or did he finance it for you?
So they financed it for me. I kind of knew when my dad retired in 2004 that I'd already kind of grew up a little bit, started investing in real estate and was buying rental properties on the side. And my mom came to me and said, hey, eventually he's going to want you to buy the business, because you have so many siblings in there, it's not going to work. So, and my dad had a silent investor. I love telling that story because it's the pinnacle point of, collaboration to me is one of the biggest assets in the world. You hear all the time people don't want partners, but if you get a good partner,
absolutely,
you can do some of the amazing things together, right?
1,000%.
So I started getting money together. And so when my dad when he retired, he's like, hey, I'm not going to come to the Christmas party anymore. It's kind of your thing. Well, he didn't come the first year. I was kind of bummed. So the second year rolled around. I'm like, hey, you need to come to the Christmas party. There's no way in the world you need to be here. You still own the business, even though I'm running it every day. So he said, okay. A couple of weeks later, he called me and goes, hey, we want to meet with you before the Christmas party. So me and his partner. And I'm like, okay, great. So they came in and just sat down and said, hey, we want to sell you the business. We want, back then it was, hey, we want $250,000 down. And no, my dad wanted $500,000 down. And then my dad's partner didn't want any money. He was a silent investor and close friend of my dad's. They became best friends. And he's like, I don't want the money. I don't even want to really sell, but I know it's the right thing we need to do to help out the family situation. So we'll agree to sell the business. So back then, you paid $1 per dollar. This is in 2006. So they financed the remaining balance over 15 years and I paid them every month, so I was blessed to have that opportunity. And so they worked it out in a good way, just like family should. If you're there and you're doing the right things every day, he got the fair market value for the business and his share. And my dad passed away a couple of months ago. And
sorry to hear that.
Even after he was taken care of with his 15 years of payments, I took care of him and my mom every day, from then on, so blessed. I would never be where I'm at today without him.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah. No, sorry to hear that. I lost my dad a few years ago as well. So now we're going to fast forward a little bit. So you're doing $4 million revenue. You buy the company. You had 15-year payments. So I had to do the math quick in my head. When you sold, did you still have a balance that you owe them, or
I
did you
did.
pay them off?
I'd already paid everybody off but my dad because, I could see them burning through the money and the lifestyle they were living. I'm like, hey, y'all are going to outlive this money. We need to renegotiate. So my dad and I sat down and renegotiated his loan. He had 5 years left. We renegotiated it for 10. So he had a small balance left when I sold the business.
Gotcha.
And then they were happy, Yeah.
Yeah. So then Orkin comes, Rendico comes knocking on the door. You said after a couple of years, he finally said yes. If I look at the evaluation, it's a big number, hard to say no to. What was the final thing that made you say, okay, let's just sell this thing?
So I had a farm outside of town where our corporate office was, and I was out there cutting grass one day on a big bush hog. It was on a Friday, and the local president at the time for Rent-A-Kill for North America calls me and goes, hey, I'm in town. I want to come see you. So the joke is, hey, come pick me up some lunch on your way out. I'm going to need to eat, and we'll sit down and talk. So he finally comes out there and just says, hey, we really want your residential business, because we were probably 97% residential. We had a little bit of commercial, but we didn't have a lot. And so we were able to come up with a number that was pretty strong. It was kind of scary strong, because you're sitting there going, never dreamed you'd have this kind of money, right? So that's when I told him, I said, all right, let me think about it. And I said, I'm going on a vacation in a couple of weeks and I'll have you an answer. Of course, then you're behind the scenes talking to attorneys and people are all involved. And that's when I went to my dad and he's like, it'll take you 20 years to make that kind of profit, even after all the taxes and everything. He said, so why would you not do it? He said, take a break. You get bored, go back into it. You'll have plenty of money, and that's what we've done now. And it's good now because my kids are getting to experience what I did, actually building the business. Where at a $24 million a year revenue company, even though they would still help grow it, my kids are boots on the ground. My son started an office last year from scratch in Panama City, Florida, by himself in a vehicle. And in 12 months, he did $350,000. And now he's got 6 employees. And I think his second year, he'll do well over $1 million. So I wanted them to experience what it takes to grow a business. Anybody can have a desk job and run a company. But my dad taught me growing one is where the excitement is. Putting up 20, 30% growth month over month, year over year kind of thing is, you know what you're doing then. You know how to build a business.
Hold up, quick pause. If you're on a pest control company or fertilization weed control company, you're not in our Facebook group, you're choosing the harder path. Every operator that's in there is skipping years of mistakes because people are actually sharing what's working right now. So stop trying to brute force your way through growth alone. Search Pest Control Millionaires on Facebook or click the link below. And now let's get back to it. When you sold the company, what did you learn through that process? I'm sure there's a lot, but.
Oh man, you're right. There is a lot. I tell you, I didn't have a golden parachute for my leadership. I missed that.
Will you explain that to the listeners?
So a golden parachute is, and I learned this afterwards, when you sell your business, your executive leadership, if they get X hour let go from the company, squeezed out, whatever, there's some kind of a package for them.
Yep.
So I already gave them a substantial amount of money. They could have got another substantial amount of money. And I'm one of those, I always want to take care of my people.
Of course.
They
like we talked about. Right?
Yeah, exactly right. Without me, I can only do so much. And you're building a business now. And I tell people all the time, consulting and working with a lot of young pest control entrepreneurs, guys, you look at your hands. These two can only do so much every day. So if you don't start taking care of those, you won't grow it to the way you want to. And I'm still learning that every day. I've failed in that role many times. When you're dealing with people and emotions get involved, you don't do what you should do, right? So in that, have a golden parachute is one thing I would recommend you do for your executive staff if you're big enough to have one. The second one be, I wouldn't have done as long of a non-compete, especially if you're under 50 years old. Because when I sold, I was, 47 years old, because they started coming to me when I was 45 years old. And I'm like, guys, I'm young. My kids are still in school. I have a great team. I was traveling, enjoying the business. At the same time, I had freedom. You build it big enough, you hire the right people, you can kind of do what you come and go as you want to. But, so that's another thing. I would definitely think a shorter non-compete.
How long was yours? 5 years? Assuming?
Mine was 5 years. Yeah. And it was for Georgia and Texas. We had a location in Texas also for active in Houston. So those 2 states. But I would tell people to do a shorter non-compete.
And you could have negotiated that, you think?
Yeah. I definitely think 3 years. I definitely think 3 is a more doable number nowadays. 5's a little long. But, it all worked out. I'm still young now and having a good time building this one.
Yeah, that's for sure. And obviously we'll get into this in a little bit, but, when you start back over, you have a lot more money and it's a little easier in a way.
Yes.
A little more, liquid cash to throw at this thing, but we'll get to that. And then, so you sold off and then you had to work with Rent-A-Kill for a year. You said that you learned a lot. You don't have to say anything bad. What did you learn through that experience? I know you said there's some good, some bad, but what did you learn through that? And how was it working for someone else after being an entrepreneur for the last 30 years?
So I'll tell you some of the bad because it's not like they were bad. It's let's talk about some of the bad first. The bad is how you handle changing people's pay. Yeah, and you and I both know when you start messing with people's money, they get emotional.
Understandably too, right?
Yeah. And then the expectations that were, hey, these people are going to be eligible for these roles and opportunities, but when they don't even get interviewed, then they're kind of not eligible, right? And I know that monster over there is so big. When they're picking up Terminex 18 months after they buy Active, they're trying to figure out what brands. So that was one of the probably the biggest negative for me is how you handle that. And then customer increases of constantly. That's the easiest thing to do is pick up business from them. It's because they increase everybody every year. It's built in their business model. They got to do a 3 to 5% increase every year to get the growth they're expected from shareholders. The good was I realized how much money they were making, because I always focused on growth, not profit. And in doing that, I could grow the business very well. When I met with Rentokil the first couple of times and they were looking at my numbers, they kept saying, there's no way you're doing this kind of growth. I'm like, wait a minute, the bank account can prove it. Don't look at nothing. Don't look at Pestpac. Don't look at nothing. Here's all the deposit slips and here's every month bank statement. How can the revenue keep going up? I'm not putting that money in there. So then when they started digging into it, they realized, we're growing this business 20, 25% every month, even the last 3 or 4 years. I had a large earnout in the deal for the last year. That's why I stayed. And I was paid a substantial amount of money for that earnout. And I gave a lot of it to my leadership because of that. Hey, we hit this number, then I'm going to take so much of it and I'm going to divvy it up between all of y'all. And they were very happy. We were very close to hitting that number. And so we would have hit our budget that we had wrote for the business. Because, I'm one of those, I'll do my budget in October for the next year. So we're ahead of the curve. We know what we want to do, how we're going to get there. And,
I talked about this I talked this about a month ago, maybe more in the podcast. Like maybe it was November or whatever it was. I can't remember. Like you guys have to start working on your stuff for next year now. Like if you guys aren't working on it now, you're already behind the 8 ball. So if you guys listen to this when this comes out, you guys are really behind. So get to it. Did they change the business name from Active?
No. So wind up happening was, Rentokil bought All Good, Active.
Yeah. Roll up. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a huge roll-up of a lot of Atlanta companies, and they wound up picking the Active brand as the Georgia market. So when you come to Atlanta, Active Pest Control is the brand, and that is for the Atlanta market for them. And it covers all of Georgia.
Why do you think they chose that brand, do you know?
I had some inside take on that from some folks. The biggest one being was the name didn't have any restrictions. So All Good, which was about the same size as Active, maybe a little bit bigger, they couldn't use that name in South Georgia. So they were limited on what they could do. And then, we had a great reputation, great Google reviews, even for, 2019. And we had substantial offices around Atlanta, had 14 locations around Atlanta. So in doing that, that gave them what they needed. And at the end of the day, they liked the brand and everything about it. It's where relationships matter was the tagline still to this day. And they went with it. And, I guess it's been going on 7 years now, June.
That's really cool. That last year when you were with them, you said you learned a lot, some bad stuff. The good stuff was you learned how much money that they're making. Was there anything else that you learned that you wish you would have implemented, that you wish you would have had implemented already that you implemented in your new company now?
Less locations. So I had put 14 locations around Atlanta. The TruNorth brand will only be 4 or 5. We'll put them all
with
around
the same footprint. Yeah,
same footprint. 1, 2. Now, people are not coming in the office near as much.
Right. Technicians take your trucks home. Yep.
Yeah. All our guys take their vehicles home. The only reason you really do it now is for Google locations, for SEO and, all of that, and all the different digital stuff that you need to have that pinged location that helps you out.
My guys, have some partners too, and they'll ask for a new shop. I'm like, for what reason? If you can tell me a good reason. The only reason, okay, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt of like, okay, you can use a Google My Business, but you could rent a small office or whatever for that. Other than that, it's just a pride thing. Like it's just to go say that you have an office. Like who gives a crap? Go run it out of a storage unit. Who gives a shit? Like I don't care. Yeah. So
that's where the profit thing came from with Rentokil.
Absolutely.
I was so ego driven on being on the top 100 locations that I was already making plenty of money. So it wasn't about me making money.
Right.
But if I would have known what I know now, I would have took the last 2 or 3 years and I'd have made the profit margin on that business so strong that they'd have had to pay me even more, which they paid me a lot and I was very pleased. But I could have drove it even higher. And then when I watched them over the last 2 or 3 years from the outside with some folks in the industry and the company still, and I know what the profit margins are, I'm like, that's crazy. And then I do it in this business and I'm liking it. Like, hey, I'm kind of liking this, this profit thing and growth at the same time.
Yes, you're buying your active customers, but at the end of the day, they're buying cash flow. That's all they're buying. And their number one job, like you said, is to give money back to their shareholders. So the goal is to make more money.
Yeah.
So it's not, I mean, it's not that difficult when you look at it from that perspective. So yeah, taking that knowledge that you learned for that last year and dump in your new company, now you're like, oh, we can make way more money. And then it's kind of like going back to like the built to sell model, right? People like start focusing on the thing about selling. They're like, oh, we should start looking at our financials, like start getting things in place so it starts to look better. And it's like, if you just worked on those financials when you first started your business and really start putting profit down and make sure you're hitting the correct EBITDA, that's the way it's built to sell. So anytime someone comes to you, like you have this really, really solid company, and we're improving every single day too,
Yeah, sure. Because
so
growth is expensive.
It is. How do you go from how did you guys go from 4 million to 24 million or 25 million over that short span time period too?
Some of it was acquisitions. I thought we bought 7 locations. I'm one of those, I love to just do startups of offices with no customer base. I've already just started it with TruNorth. Like I said, we went to Panama City immediately, sent my son down there with 1 truck. So at Active, I had done multiple locations. Rome, Georgia, sent somebody up there with a truck. Columbus, Georgia, sent somebody down there with a truck that lived there, and they started building the business. And both of those markets, we were able to buy small $300,000 to $500,000 companies within a year and a half after we started that put even more customer base on to help us ramp up the growth.
Yeah. So, how were you finding those companies?
Most of them through just networking, going to the local Pest Control Association meetings, talking to other business owners. I love the network community that's in the industry right now. On your Facebook page, I don't know how many people on there I've already been talking to, creating ideas with each other, talking about different things. I know some guys that are up in Kentucky and Tennessee that are on the group. They were all door knocking guys, got into business by themselves, and now they're like, I don't even have office staff. How do I do that? Somehow I connect with those guys and been helping them the last year, help them set up their business a little bit on the shop side there. But a lot of it was mostly salespeople, though. I don't do door knocking. I want to get into that market. I know that's something I'm going to get into in the next year. But most of mine is salespeople through real estate agents and new construction pre-treats and referrals. So
when you start, like from 4 million to 25 million, that's the kind of business you're doing. You're doing small acquisitions and then just going to construction companies, doing the pre-treats, connecting with realtors, growing through realtors.
Realtors being the number one target is because up until, I guess it's been 10 years now, you had to have a termite letter in the state of Georgia, a clearance letter, wood infestation report to sell your home. So we would go market and network with real estate agents, build relationships, and they would feed us those opportunities.
Cool. How much do you think that's changed from then till now with realtors?
It's not changed much because in our new business model now, we run 12 salespeople already, and our real estate marketing budget is probably $30,000, $40,000 a month that we spend on agents every month. Going out, whether we're doing cookouts, credited education for them in their offices, lunch and learns, breakfasts, sponsoring golf tournaments, any kind of fundraiser they're involved in. We do a lot of open houses for realtors, sponsoring those for them and being there during the open houses. We do caravans for them. We rent a big trolley and take it around and take agents around to all the houses. So we spend a lot of energy on the real estate market. But I tell people in any service industry, realtors are community people. They're in the people business. They're not in the house business. The only way they get a house sale is through a relationship. So they build relationships just like we do. So if you get good agents and you take care of them, they're going to tell 10 people a month about you. So they're like an arm's length salesperson for you without even realizing it.
Random thought. Why did you choose Panama City? Because Atlanta's such a great market. And so, I think, how much business you guys can do just in Atlanta? How did Florida happen?
So when we acquired the 3 companies, we had an office, a 1-truck operation in Orlando. They already had, and then they had a small office in Conyers, Georgia. So I told myself if I got back in pest control, I was going to go to the Florida market. And it's just pest pressure is 12 months out of the year, and the growth in the state of Florida is just crazy.
Right now it is, especially.
Yeah.
Rising tide lifts all boats, right? Honestly.
Yeah. I want to live in Florida. I live in Florida. I commute up here to work. Yeah. So
gotcha.
I live and work out of our Panama City office, which is right there in Destin 38 area.
Goals.
Yeah, exactly. And then I commute up here I'm usually here on Mondays and Tuesdays. And then like I leave tomorrow and I'll be down there all the way through next week.
How far of a drive is that for you?
It's about 5 hours, so it's not bad at all. And I leave on Tuesday afternoons or Wednesday. I'm on the phone all the way down there talking to people, making calls. Yeah, you know the deal. And then usually I'll drive back on Sunday night when nobody's around and I'll listen to podcasts or plan my week out Sunday afternoon. And then I'm in here Monday and Tuesday if I'm here. So, but most of the time I work out of the office down there.
Gotcha. That's cool. What's your, just another random question that doesn't really make a difference, but what does your day-to-day look like?
So my day-to-day is I'm a 4:30 riser. I get up every morning at 4:30. I do my quiet time, gym, sauna, plunge bath a couple of days a week. And then I'm usually, I start taking texts at 6 a.m. My staff know they can start talking to me at 6 a.m. So a lot of my tribe leaders in the branches will start texting me numbers or questions or concerns. And then I'm usually in the office by 8. So I get in the office by 8, and honestly, I'll try to leave around 2, 3 o'clock. I'm not, if I'm in Florida, I'm trying to leave at 2 every day.
For real.
The weather's beautiful, and I'm on a boat fishing on the beach.
Is the majority of your time worked, like, is it what around strategy, or is it like in the business right now?
Growth and development.
Cool.
I'm growth and development. I talk to all my leadership still because I feel like I'm the catalyst. I'm the igniter. So I'm encouraging them, if nothing else, if they got questions, I have a COO in the business that was with me at the previous company for 20 years. So he handles a lot of the day-to-day stuff. And I'm blessed. I mean, I've got a good group of people that know what they're doing. A lot of them with experience, some of them that don't. My son's 25 years old, running his branch down there and trying to prove a point that, age ain't about a number. It's all about the man, not the land.
Yeah. I love that. And then I know you said you sent him down there with a truck, and how has he been growing his business?
So I have a thing we use called the 520 plan. I wrote it back at Active, and it's kind of my old sales program where you take these 5 categories and you put 20% in each one of them every day. Some days you may put more in some and some more in others, but at the end of the week, you got to see 200, or at the end of the month, you got to see 200 people. That's 10 people a day. In any of these 5 categories, you will be a successful salesperson. So as my COO, Devin, and I've talked many times, because Cody started leading in pest control sales, where everybody else is doing termite, they're doing encapsulations, they're doing new construction. I said the biggest way to grow the business, the quickest, is just get reoccurring pest control. If you get reoccurring pest control, then you're going to compound the business. So he just started doing, the less you know, the better sometimes. Because you're following exactly what we say. Those that know everything will do what they want, or those that don't know but little, they're like, I got to do what they say because that's the only thing I know to do. So he has done a very good job of that. And the whole company has as a whole. We went from, like I said, 1.4 to 5 million to 5.8 in 18 months without door knocking. That's a lot of growth very quick. But it goes back to hiring salespeople. Every time people ask me, what would you do first? I would be a salesperson and get a technician, because nobody's going to sell the business better than the owner. He should be able to go out and present every day, and I'm going to work harder. So other people get lazy. They have a good month. They may start out with $20,000, $30,000 in sales. They'll coast the last week of the month if they get to 50. They're like, I ain't doing nothing. The next month they may only do 25,000. Whereas you as the owner, you're going to try to do 50 every month if that's what it takes to get the business to profit. Cash.
For sure. We said he didn't knock doors. So is he spending money online for ads, getting leads, or is he doing more like commercial sales?
It's stopping and talking to people. Property managers and real estate agents.
Cool.
And then he has picked up some commercial pest control, and he's done very well in the new construction pre-treat market.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, but it's mainly just pest control.
Yeah. But basically 90 or 100% of his time is just networking.
Yeah. And that's what I tell people. We were on this cruise, and one of the sales guys has been with me 20 years. Came as soon as he found out I started a new company, he was immediately on board. And we were sitting at the pool a couple of days ago, and he goes, Tony, I just want to tell you for the last 20 years how amazing it's been. And I said, no, man, I owe you more than you owe me. Without you, I wouldn't have been able to do it. But I was like, but tell me what's made you successful. And he went through his schedule the last 2 weeks. I cooked breakfast for this person. I did lunch for these people. He said, I might have done 15 inspections for the week. I probably sold 11 or 12 of them, but I did all this networking to be prepared when the season comes, so he said, it's doing what you said. I tell everybody every day, go make friends. Don't make a commission. Go make a friend. They'll make you a fortune. You've heard that line. And when you do that and do it every day consistently, you can be successful. Our sales guys are paid a large salary for the first 90 days. I say large, but it's $40,000 a year, based as how they're fixed. And then we wean them off of that, but we push them pretty hard those first 90 days to get that pipeline going, start making those friends.
And then you reduce, then you take their salary back and you give them more commissions. Yep. Same thing we do. Love it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's working for both of us. And then people wonder what we do and why we do it. And they're like, well, how do you do it? And then you tell them to do it and they won't do it, but they don't get the results. And you're like, well, this is why. Because it's expensive to live now. And that's one thing I've had to adjust to in this business real quick is being out for 5 years. The cost of living for people has went up drastically. The cost of services went up drastically. So to get good people, because everybody always tells me, I can't find good people. I've not had a problem finding help. You write a big enough check, they're going to walk in the door and they're going to want to work for you. You take them on a cruise every year, or you do cash bonuses every month, or sales guys, or buy watches, or whatever you're doing. If you do that for them, the list lines up pretty quick to come to work for you.
Yeah, 1,000%. I've said this in past podcasts too, like knock on wood, but we didn't lose a single technician last year. Not one.
That's awesome.
Not one.
Yeah, that is.
I mean,
awesome.
We fired some, we let some go.
Yeah. But the ones that just walked out quit because they didn't like their job, none of those. Yeah.
And so, like they always say, like the best companies that are charging the most money have the nicest vehicles, they can pay their people the most, and have the best retention because for all those reasons, right? Taking good care of them, and you're paying them good money to be there, but you have to charge a premium because we want to be able to take care of our people.
And they want a good person at the door, right? They want a clean-cut professional employee that can answer every question they have and resolve any issues. Well, to get that, it's like going to a good doctor or a bad doctor. You're going to go to a doctor that went to the best medical schools, or this guy that went over here to third world country. You know, I'm going to go with the guy, and we're going to pay the premium to get it done. So.
Yeah. You're out of pest control for 5 years. When did your cleaning company? Did you sell that or restoration?
We sold it. Yeah, it was a trash business. We were in the residential trash business.
Gotcha.
So we knew it was a 5-year plan. Sold it to a private equity group out of Louisiana, and so we understand building business, and that's one thing. And when I sold Active, I had worked with several other companies, and I wanted to try what I did at Active on other industries. And I tried it on a couple of industries, and they done very well. And that's when I knew, okay, what I'm doing works. It can be done anything. Did it in the trash business. I did it in the heat and air business. Did it in a security business with some folks. Lawn care. Guys that have left me to go in lawn care now are implementing a lot of the stuff, because the one thing that is a downfall to me is I've had a lot of people leave to go start their own business because we teach you everything. You're involved in every P&L meeting, every budget. You know how to run a business when you leave. And I'm okay with that, because the 3 companies I bought to start this brand were all former employees. Well, if I was such a bad guy, why would they sell me their business, right? So it was all former employees, hey, Tony, we know you got the money now. We know you're getting back in. We're thinking about getting out. It's time to retire. Okay, well, hey, let's do it.
Yeah.
So it's been good on that side. I tell people I'm the Nick Saban of the pest control industry. I can name about 40 people that I put in business. Some have made it and some hadn't, right? But a lot of them have done very well, and I'm glad for them. And a lot of them have left the right way. They walk in your office and sit down and say, hey, Tony, I want to do what you did. I want to start my own. I have 2 rules. Don't take any of my customers, and don't touch any of my employees, and I'll help you and give you the shirt off my back. And the one company I bought, they were the biggest of the group. They were still driving some of the old Active vehicles. I'd sold them before I'd sold the Rent-A-Kill.
Yeah.
So I get there and I'm like, damn, dude, these trucks are old. They're like, yeah, they're yours. I just started laughing. I'm like,
you bought them twice.
Yeah. It's like, we're going to drive them for a year, but we got to replace a lot of this.
That's funny.
But it was good. It was good.
Yeah. So how much has the industry changed being out of it the last 5 years? I know you said that, the cost to living has gone up, things like that, but industry-wide, what do you think?
Industry-wise, I think not a lot, in my opinion, has changed in the industry. I think there's a lot more people getting into it. There's a lot more companies. I do think the door-knocking industry has bred a lot of great entrepreneurs. Because if you can go out and sell $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 for somebody, or $1 million, and then you go, hey, all I got to do is hire a technician, get me a license, and I go do that same thing, do that for 2 or 3 years, and I'm 25, 26 years old. Next thing you know, I'm running a couple of $1 million business and it's mine that I'm building to sell someday. So that's the one thing. And I love the energy in the business, in the industry right now. I really do. I love the camaraderie everybody has. I tell people every day, like I said, I'd help you because all I got to do is go do my part. My dad was my mentor and coach my whole life. And all he would tell me to do every day was get out of bed. He said, the 6 inches between your ears and the demon that's in there will be the thing that defeats you. The only competition is yourself. Get up every day, look in the mirror, and go to work. And I've done it. I mean, I'm 54 years old. I'm worth a substantial amount of money, and I did a lot of it outside of active too. Bought a lot of commercial real estate, built several service industry companies, sold them outside of the pest control industry. But I love this one. You know, I do. It's, you know, like everybody that gets in the pest control business very rarely gets out of it. I can't name too many, if any.
Right. Interesting. So you sold that company, you're out for 5 years, and then you said your COO came back. How many other employees came back from the old business?
So there's about 70 employees, and I bet you 40 of them were from the previous company.
Were they still there when you came back?
No, they had bounced to other companies and were just frustrated. So when they're like, hey, you know, you're back in business. I mean, my phone rang this week. They all knew we were on the cruise, some guys at other companies. Man, I saw all the so-and-so posting pictures. Y'all are on the cruise. Are you hiring? What's your next step? So we have a pipeline of people coming in right now because I'm going to open a couple more offices this year. You know, Atlanta, like you said, is a very large market. And we're all on the south side right now, kind of in middle Georgia. I've got to get that north side of Atlanta going. So I at least do one office for sure this year on the north side, hopefully get another small acquisition, and then kind of go from there.
And are you still finding the acquisitions the same way, just reaching out?
Yeah, most of those people I know in the industry.
Gotcha.
I've never used a broker or anything. I've thought about it, would like to, because that was another reason I got in the business. When I was with Rent and Kill, you know, they won't touch any of these $500,000 to $1 million companies. And I'm like, let me go out I'll work for you. I even told somebody way up in leadership, let me go out and buy 10 or 12 of these small companies, put them together, and then let's bring them into Rent and Kill. Because I could clean them up, get all the issues out of them, get the good customers, because you're still getting the business at a much better multiple than you are buying a $25 million company. You know, because they cost more, they make a bigger impact. They couldn't see it. So, and then I started working with these private equity groups the same way. Big group out of Chicago paid me for about 6 months. And they're like, there's no platform companies to buy. I said, well, I'll build one. I said, I'll put up $5 million into the group and fund with y'all. I want ownership in this, and let me go out and build one. I said, I can have a $10 million company in 2 or 3 years. There's no way. Okay. So I decided after talking to my kids and my son and daughter, and they're like, hey, we want to be involved in this. We want to do it. And my son was the one that said, the only way I'll do it is I get to move to Florida. I'm tired of Atlanta. I want to be by the beach. He loves the water. And I'm like, okay, that's not hard. You know, so as soon as we bought the business, we sent him to Orlando. And he stayed down there for a year. And then after that, he bounced over to Panama City because he wanted to live in the Panhandle.
So did you end up working with that with that firm and saying in the next 5 years we're going to grow a $10 million company and sell it back to them or not?
They wouldn't do it.
Gotcha.
I just told them to call me in 5 years. I'd let them look at my books.
I mean, obviously you made a lot of money from your last company. You don't need money, right? What drives you today to get up every day? Like you said, the 6 inches between your ears, you got a pile of money in your bank account. You don't have to go to work, but why do you keep going?
I've talked to a lot of people that are retired. I do a lot of cruising and a lot of traveling still. Every month I go on a vacation somewhere for 3 to 5 days. Once a quarter, I take a big vacation. And all of those people that are much older than me all tell me the one thing they shouldn't have done was quit working. Yeah,
because then I know so many people who quit working that are 60, 70 years old, and within a year, 2 years, they're either not alive anymore,
or bad health,
or really bad health. Yeah, I'm on the Charlie Munger plan.
Yeah, so it's like my dad said the biggest mistake he ever made was selling me the business. He wished he'd have just worked in it at a level that went capacity. Hey, I'm gonna come in for a couple of weeks. I'm going to work every day. Me and your mom going to go on this vacation. We're going to go hang out at their lake house or whatever they wanted to do, right? So for me now, it's going back to being 16 years old. 16 to 25, I wasted every dollar I ever made. And I want to teach the kids today from 16 to 25 not to blow that money, or really 18 to 25. So I get to speak at some colleges locally on a couple of times a year basis. And then I mentor a lot of young adults. And it's like, hey, let me show you how to compound wealth quickly. That first 7 years is the most important, 18 to 25. And then so it's fun, because you see kids be successful. You see them growing in their, either in their faith or in business. And you're like, hey, this is a good thing for them. Because there's nobody out there doing that. In my opinion, the education system is a joke in America. So it needs to be revamped. So I'm trying to teach that stuff that they're not getting in school on that side.
That's really cool. And how many family members do you have in the company working with you today?
So I have both of my kids, and then my younger brother works for me and runs our Orlando location.
Awesome.
So he wanted to moved to Florida, and I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah. What's the goal for this one? Is this something that you're going to sell to your kids? Or are you going to go private equity? What are you thinking?
We haven't determined that. We have a budget in place for 72 months to get to, not 72 months, 7 years to get to 68 million. So we did a 7-year business plan, and that puts us at 68 million. And then we'll kind of reevaluate. I think I want to really do something different at 62. So I figure I got about 8 more years in me, and that I'm going to work at the rate I am right now. And I'm still going to work after that, but I don't know if I'll be in the business day to day, or I will come up with another thing. My COO that's been with me 20 years gave me his notice that he leaves Thanksgiving Day. So I've got almost a year to replace him. So great guy, and he's done it. And he said, hey, I'll do something for you afterwards. I don't want to come in anymore. He's much older than me. And but he was excited to come back and do this, just to prove we could do it again. And just like anybody else, he's much older. He's like, I just got tired of doing laundry every day. He's like, he was so bored every time they wear clothes, he said he'd wash them every day. I'm like, yeah, you got too much time on your hands.
For real. What's the next, you said you got a next act at 62. What's that?
Probably for me, I love commercial real estate. I want to do more real estate in Florida. I want to sell a lot that I have in Metro Atlanta and migrate it down there to be around me. And I say that, but I'm going to really do a big sit down at 62. I'd love to do some more mission work. I've been supporting missionaries all over the world for years. I'd love to go see some of their stuff more. I do have a big trip planned in next year, at the end of this year, to see a good friend of mine in Africa that I've been supporting the last 15 years, 20 years. So I'm excited to go see their work and help them out and just say hello and love on them a little bit. But probably just kind of reevaluate. And I may stay in the business. We may say, hey, our goal is Georgia and Florida, Tennessee and the Carolinas. I figured to get to 100 million, that's what we want to do. And I met with key leadership of Rent-A-Kill back at Pest World in Denver. And when they knew I got back into business, and they were like, so what is your ambition and goals? And I said, I'm going to get it to 100 million. And they laughed and said, keep it around 50 to 70. 100 puts you in another bracket of less buyers.
Of course it does.
Yeah, and I didn't know that, and not thinking that. I'm like, oh, good point.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it holistically, it's like the bigger you get, the less pool of people that can afford to buy you. So every time you get another platform up above, like the less people that can afford to buy you. So yeah, like now you're very limited, which is not a bad thing. I mean, it's a good thing too, Yeah,
well, the thing for me is if it's throwing off enough cash, why would you sell it, right? And I didn't have to. I never dreamed I'd sell active. I tell people that every day, but when they come to you and the thing, you're kind of looking at it and going, that's going to take 20 to 25 years to make that same money, if not longer, and not including any liability in that time.
It's the first 2 to 3 million that's the hardest to earn in your bank account.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just really is.
Right.
It takes a long time, but once you get past that, then it explodes so much faster. That's the first 3 million stuff. So like I said, when you're doing 25 million, making good money, you go make it so I get friends who ask me like, I have 5 million to sell. I'm like, yeah, you can, but where are you going to get the returns that you get on your money now? Nowhere. You're getting 20 to 30% every single year. You can put it in the market, you get 5.5%, 6%. Like, yeah, you can, but I get the other side of like, okay, now I have a little bit of cash to go do something faster, like what you're doing. So I get both sides of the coin. Yeah,
but the only thing that would have been cool, and I think about it sometimes, is my kids now are 4th generation pest control kids. To be in the same business would have been fun, but I go back to, I wanted them to experience the work it takes. Because you can't teach that. It's something they have to see. So my son going out driving around every single day soliciting cold business and getting rejected is a powerful thing. These kids today, there's too many yeses and not enough nos at a very young age. So getting that rejection lets you know that, hey, not anybody, there's a lot of people that leave and try to start their own business and they don't make it. Or they'll come to you a year or two later and go, how did you do it so fast? Because I've made it the number one priority. Because a lot of these people that will leave, they'll be like, I still want to do this and this. And I got sideways bad with active. I bought it in 06, but say 08 or 09 until about 12 or 13, I was doing the heating and air business and the trash business and all that. And all the profits I was making off of active, I was putting in these other service companies. When I truly believe if I wouldn't have done any of that, active would have been 50 million when I sold.
And I see that all the time, like especially like at $1 million, because like there's just not a whole lot of money yet, and people just get like, but they have people working for them, and so like they have a little bit more time, and they want to go start something else, and it's like, I'm bored. Or if you're bored, get in the truck and go sell business. I still love doing sales calls today. That's what my sales staff. That's probably who I talk to more than my leadership is my sales staff, because I just hired a sales manager in the last couple of weeks. So I had 12 guys that, hey, we're working on a big job, I got this opportunity, what can we do? And they're like, I'm going to walk this property. Hey, I'll meet you over there. Because I'm not in the day-to-day, or I don't have to sit behind a desk 24 hours a day. So I pop up and jump in the car and go, hey, all right, it's an hour away. Let me run over and meet you. Let's meet at 1 o'clock and go take them to lunch and walk the property and sell the complex or whatever it is, or a big account. So that's what makes it still fun. That's one thing I think when you at that 5 million point, hire some people to run the business and go out and do the part of the business that you love that you forgot about. And that was a mistake I made. I truly believe that. And I think now that's what I enjoy most, is just going out, making new friends. You meet some great people in the business. You make a lot of great connections. I think about people that are back at this business that were at Active. They didn't leave because they were mad. They left because they were loyal. And they didn't like the price increases. I can tell you that now. That was when I brought that up. I mean, the regimen of that price increase every single year. At Active, we might have done one every 3 to 5 years. We were probably a little bit where we shouldn't have. We should have done them a little more often. I like the 3-year window. I like every third year giving a customer an increase on their annual termite coverage. Maybe, and then the pest control will leave them alone and start new counts at the new rate. And then if they're way old, then we'll do a small increase. But I don't do an increase every single year on every account. You said you got a little bit sideways to those years, put all the profits into the other companies. What did you end up doing? Did you end up selling those companies? Did you switch out? What did you do?
Yeah. So one of them was a sanitation company. A good friend of mine, local to the area, they had sold their big trash company. And when they did to one of the big national companies, it got sideways ugly. And then everybody knew that I was always service-minded industry. Like, Tony, you need to start a trash company. So I built the company pretty quick in about 18 months and realized it had gotten too big, too fast for me. And I'm like, I can't do both. So I had a partner in it that brought all the cash to the game. He wound up taking the business and doing it. And the same, I was in the heating and air business for 13 years and was struggling with it by myself as the owner, and brought an investor, or not an investor, and a guy that knew the business. And after about 3 or 4 years, was like, hey, my leadership in the pest control business was like, Tony, we got to get rid of the distractions. And the heating and air business is a distraction. If you really want to grow the pest control business, we believe we can help you do it, but you got to get rid of the distractions. So I went to him and said, I'll tell you what, take the business. You got 30 days to get it out of my call center, us answering the calls and all that. You can have the business outright. Because it was just residential. It was more of an aggravation. I'd gotten my money back out of it over the last couple of years with him. So he wound up taking the business, growing it, and actually just sold it a couple of years ago for a very nice sum. So I was proud of that for him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
On that side.
Yeah. Let's fast forward a little bit to the cruise. You just got back from a cruise like last week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Yesterday. We got on the boat yesterday morning. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so you took 70 some people, right, with you?
Yeah. So if you're here with the company for a year, or usually 9 months, if you're here for 3/4 out of the 4, you become eligible for the cruise, and we take you and your spouse, or you and one other person. And we do Royal Caribbean. It's a great event. We take off on Fridays and Monday. And then what we do is we pay them for it, and then we go down there and have a blast. Get on the boat Friday morning around 10 o'clock. Have a dinner with everybody the first night, and kind of after that, they're on their own. If they come to dinner, great. If they don't want to go experience their own stuff, we welcome and encourage them to do that. So it was a lot of fun. I did it at Active for years. You had to earn your way on there through sales. Tenure people like all of my termite techs back in the day could go automatically because they couldn't do sales. So a lot of our hourly people automatically qualified. But then now, you're in the financial position much better. I'm like, everybody gets to go. If you're here and you're giving me 100%, you're a great employee, you can go. So some people can't go, whether it's family reasons,
Of course, yeah.
medical, so we probably lost 5 to 7 of those people that couldn't go. And then we probably had about 8 or 10 that were new employees that came in the last 6 months of the year or less, last quarter of this 25 that wasn't eligible to go. So we wound up with a couple of people here answering the phones, and we had about 8 or 10 people out in the field covering emergency calls. We email every customer and tell them we're off. We tell them exactly what we're doing, so they know. And then we do bingo every Friday at the office in the call center, live while we're on the phone with the customers, and we get the customers involved. It's one of the best things I've ever done.
That's cool. And
then we give prizes to our staff, and we do that 3 or 4 times a day on Fridays. So just trying to work on morale, trying to make people feel happy to be at the place they love to work. And made a lot of mistakes there. I'm not perfect, so I'm trying to learn from them and correct them.
Absolutely. But you have to be learning every day. I know this is a bad question, but getting back into the business, you have a little bit more money, like I said. Was it easier with more money? Coming back
a lot easier. It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
It's no offense.
No, right.
At Active, I'd made some horrible financial decisions over the years. It was so bad after the crash of 08, I'll tell you. I had put myself in a personal financial situation. And this part of my speech I give to young kids is, in 08, it was so bad for me. I was on a cruise and I almost stepped off the back of the boat. It was so stressful. That's how much stress I was under. I came off that trip, met with Devin, who's my COO today, and I said, we're going to cut my pay 50%. We're going to sell the commercial division of the business. And I did, to Gregory's in 09. I think it was in 09. They were trying to buy the whole business, and I said, no, I don't want to sell it to you, but I tell you what, are you interested? I'll sell you the commercial division. So I sold the commercial division, all 3 of my houses, and became debt-free. And that's when I knew it was time to change. So you learn, right? The pressure of life will make you make good or bad decisions. So I started making some good decisions. And then sold everything, sold the commercial division. That's why we didn't have much when I sold the Rent-A-Kill, because I was under a 5-year non-compete with those guys. And I didn't want to do it, right? I didn't have the specialty people because we had built it pretty big. But now it's easier because I don't have to deal with banks and vehicles alone. That stress alone for people, because you get, let's say you buy a couple of vehicles and you're by yourself and you go to Ford. Well, after 3 or 4, Ford won't finance you anymore in your name. So you got to go to Bank of America. You got to go to Truist or, whoever, Wells Fargo, whatever it is out there to get it. So now I self-fund the business. Yeah, I started this company. We did $5.8 million, but I've probably paid them $1.7 million or $1.8 million in it out of my pocket in the last 18 months. Because I've hired more salespeople than we needed, more office staff and people. I only run at about an 80% capacity of techs because our growth is so high. And I want to make sure we can meet the demand. So you can't do that if you're by yourself, one truck. It's a lot harder. But if I was young and starting over by myself and I didn't have a dollar to my name, I would run Uber at night or Instacart, and I would do bugs during the day to build my business. I would do something else at night and weekends to have the money to be able to grow the pest business. Because I know it, right? And you do too. You see the numbers. When you know the numbers and how fast you can compound it and what you can sell it for, you're willing to do sacrifice in the evenings or weekends to get the capital you need to grow the bigger picture.
Right.
On that side.
I love that. Sounds like someone's mowing lawn over there.
Yes. I'm fixing to move into my new building. I've complained with the landlord a dozen times because the call center's next door. And I'm like, what's the heck? Come on. So
I just giving you a hard time. We're sitting in 10 feet of snow over here, so I'd rather hear lawnmowers all day long at this point.
Oh, yeah. No, it's cold here, but in Atlanta, it's like 45, 50 today. But I'll be glad when it's over. That's why I'm going to migrate back to Florida tomorrow and enjoy the beautiful weather for a while.
Yeah, that's awesome. I don't want to take much more of your time. I told you to go about an hour. It's been an awesome hour. Love it. I could probably talk for 2 more hours. But give me one question that I got off the top of my head. You said that you got into a bad financial decision, you make some bad decisions. Give me a few of them that we could learn from.
Trying to grow the business too fast. And I'd stretched us thin, right? I was in the sanitation business, in the pest control business, and the heating and air. So from a financial standpoint, And not only that, I use the word delayed gratification a lot now. I was trying to live that life like you talked about. You get your company to $5 or $6 million, you're making all this money, and next thing you know, you're pulling more money out of the business for a lifestyle that you really don't need. So now it's like I tell all these young guys, I'm like, look, if you can do delayed gratification, you can have anything you want in the future. The greatest feeling in the world is to go be able to buy anything you want. But then you got to control to buy something that you can't maintain. Buying something's easy. Maintaining a big boat or a large home or any of those things costs money. So just getting the business spread too thin, trying to grow it too fast. And then you're hoping the bank's going to help you out and different things like that.
But it's so like for us as entrepreneurs, it's never fast enough, right?
Exactly. Yeah. No, you're absolutely correct. So,
how did you manage between the two now? Like you have more cash, obviously, but like, how do you fight that against yourself?
Oh, it's horrible. My CFO is with me, came from the business when I sold it also. That was part of the deal with Rent-A-Kill. When I sold he was coming with me day one. He was my personal CFO now, did that the last 5 years. I knew I was going to get in some kind of business in real estate. So I always wanted him. So he keeps me in check. That's the best thing about it is.
Yeah.
So he keeps me in check. He helps me out going, hey, got to pull back a little bit. Got to do this. We can do it, but let's wait till next month.
For sure.
It's all cash flow, right? You got to kind of manage the cash flow.
And so like you said, you have those people who are doing $5-6 million a year, have lots of cash coming in. So they want to go buy a new car that's going to cost them $10,000 a month, which is awesome. Like, good for you. Congratulations. You built a great company. But like you said, you could take that same $10,000 that month, put it towards ad spend, keep growing the company. And as long as you can do the delayed gratification, like you said, like, it's going to compound super fast. And I agree with you 1,000%. I want those nice things too. And I have a nice car, but I didn't go spend $1 million on a car. I spent like less than $200 on a car, So, I agree with you 1,000%. But it's a struggle, right? That we probably all go through.
Oh yeah. Even people that are on W-2 employees, the America's in that debt and rat race, and I tell people it's the America's merry-go-round is what I call it. They want you to get out of college, get a job, buy a car. Then after you buy that new car, now you got a car payment that you don't probably need. And then you get on the housing market where you buy a house, and next thing you know, so you got a house and a new car payment, you're stuck.
Right.
You're committed to being an employee for somebody.
Absolutely.
Whether you have to be it for yourself or somebody else.
And then you go have a couple of kids.
Yeah. Then that's really the next stage comes. Marriage, kids, and then you're done. You're strapped in at 35, 37 years old, hating life. And because you got a 6 and an 8-year-old going, what the heck have I done? So that's the young kids I go speak at colleges with, these entrepreneur classes I go to and talk. I drive in their head as much as I can. You're writing your own story and stay away from the American dream.
I tell like my CEO, like her biggest thing is like, I just want to own a house. I'm like, for what?
Biggest liability expense in the world. Oh my
gosh, don't do it.
Roofs, hot water tanks, air conditioning.
Yes.
Whatever.
Like you live in a condo that everything's taken care of for you. She's like, oh yeah, but my house payment, like, be towards something. I'm like, towards what? Like, you'll spend all this money, like you said, in hot water. Like, we align very well on this.
Yeah, it's frustrating right now.
It is,
but there's more people getting more money today than they ever have, which I love. So I'm hoping some of these younger kids we didn't have the access to learn about.
No, we didn't. We didn't have YouTube. We actually had to read books.
Yeah, and it was, if you didn't like reading, I didn't read my first book till I was 34, and now there's probably 200 in my office over here.
Right.
I have stacks of them. I buy books constantly and read.
Yeah.
And I encourage kids all the time.
Me too.
To do that.
I never checked out a book one time in like throughout high school and college, not one time. And then I found entrepreneurship, and I was like, I try to at least, I was like a book a week. Now I'm like a book a month, but I can't get enough of learning, but there's podcasts, there's anything now.
So now for me, driving back and forth when I'm on the road is I listen to podcasts. If I'm not on the phone talking, I've got a podcast and I start saving them and going through like, hey, I want to watch this podcast. And everybody's like, where are you getting some of these ideas? I'm like, they're not mine. And I tell people all the time, and I can remember meeting with some other people. This is way back in the day. We had a little mastermind group, some guys out of Alabama, a guy out of Nashville, and a guy out of Augusta, Georgia. We would meet and talk about our business and share ideas. And I can remember walking in the door one day, this was a long time ago, going, hey, starting January 1st or whatever month it was, we're not going to take any new customer without a credit card on file. This was before it was cool and popular.
Yeah, I know.
And everybody's like, you're out of your mind. At the end of the summer, we were like, I bet we didn't get 10 or 12 accounts out of the whole deal because you could pay with a credit card on file or a year in advance. If you couldn't do either one of those, we did not do billing no more.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Same. And I think we started that in like 2012 or 15, somewhere right in there. I got to remember the exact year.
I'm thinking mine was probably around 12, 10 or 11.
And it wasn't cool then either, but it was like my mentor was drilling it in my head, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Because we knew the energy we were wasting on AR and collecting money. We don't have that problem. And that's the one thing about building a new business. Those things you did wrong, you don't do them here. Yeah. So our AR is nothing every month. There's hardly anything on there. I look at the production amount and I look at the deposit and they're within 97% of each other. I'm like, man, this is nice.
Sure is.
Yeah. I'm not chasing money.
Love that. Last question for you. What are some two big takeaways throughout your career that you could tell young entrepreneurs that are listening or people that are starting a business or maybe under $1 million?
First one being is, and I still struggle with this daily is, and I say struggle with it, but I do much better, is you got to take care of your people. You got to have, and that number one thing of taking care of them is communicating. Where I have failed with my people is I will think I'm telling them something, and I am telling them, but they're not registering what I'm saying. So I didn't communicate it in the way that they needed it. So you've got to figure out a better way of communicating. As you start getting 2, 3, 4, and 5 employees, you're doing $1 million, you're going to have about 6 or 7 employees. And if you want to retain them, that's what you got to do. So that being the first one. And the second one is really the first one. That is the second one. The first one for me is I believe you got to bring Jesus into your life. He's got to be a part of your life and your business. Because everything in the Bible talks about how you should treat people, and they lie, they coexist. Because I've never found nothing in the Bible that I couldn't apply in business. And the more I apply the Bible into business, the more I keep my people. I've lost some good employees from not taking care of them. And I'm not being I'm not one of those that are screamer and holler and cusser. And I may get agitated and talk loud some. And I'm very passionate, but I need to handle it a little different. As my son says all the time, won't you breathe a minute before you start talking? And I'm like, yes, sir, I got it, But because you think you're communicating, and some people just are not registering what you're saying, right? So if you can do that, I think those are the two things that will help you go a lot. Like you said, you've had nobody leave. Now, you've had to fire some, but the good employees don't leave. And that was the thing I asked the young man, Benny, the other day was, Benny, why'd you stick with me all this time? He said, Tony, you've always been fair. I knew when I was wrong and you were on my ass. Oops, sorry.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
My podcast, we can say whatever we want to.
That's right. So, and he said, but I also knew that you cared. It wasn't like you were mad at me. He said 5 minutes later, you would call me back and go, hey, let's go have lunch. Because it was like, okay, the problem was resolved. Let's move on. He said, and I just took it as, I didn't take it to heart. I just knew it was business and that I'd call you in the middle of the night, you'd come get me. If something was wrong or I needed you, his son went through cancer. I poured, I don't know how much money and time and energy in helping that young man. It broke my heart. And he was able to survive and beat it. But he was like, coming out of that, I knew business was just an avenue to help people. Everybody's just got to see both sides of it. But yeah, I think taking care of your people would be absolutely the number one. And everybody's like, I have some friends I consult with all the time, and they're like, yeah, but I've tried that. Well, not everybody's going to take to the good that you do. There's still going to be bad employees no matter how good you are to them. That's why you wind up terminating. Or they leave because they know they're doing wrong, and they're like, I can't go back there because I know I'm going to get fired because I'm already going against company policy and procedures and ethics and everything else. For
sure. What are you most proud of?
Oh, being my 2 kids. No doubt. If you've ever met them, and you will someday in the industry, they'll be with me. People will tell you it's like they're a spitting image of me almost. And I say more of my dad. I'm proud of their mom and what she did with them too. But I'm proud of both of them. Business that come and go. I'll buy them and sell them every day, but they both have great work ethic. They both get up every day. I've never had to call one time and go, are you at work? That says a lot. When you're in a trash business and having to get up every morning at 4 o'clock or be there at 4 a.m. and you're 19, 20 years old, 21 years old, that's a big ordeal.
It is.
So definitely most proud of both of them.
Super awesome. Well, Tony, I don't need to take more of your time than I already did. So you're a stud. I love what you're doing. I can't wait to stay connected. I know I can learn a lot from you, and look forward to see what you're doing.
Yeah, and I'm enjoying your shows. Trust me, I learn a lot. I watch everyone as they pop out, and I'm on the Millionaire Club and making comments, and it's always fun. So thank you for everything y'all are doing.
Yeah, I appreciate you. And then just real quick, on March 25th, I'll be in Arizona. This is just for the podcast listeners. I'm actually speaking at the Great Western Conference out there, and then we're going to have a dinner afterwards. So we're going to have like your first official Pest Control Millionaire after party, so it'll be pretty cool. So I'm excited for that. So just going to throw that out there. So all people who are out in Arizona, come hang out, check us out for the day. And Tony, thanks for being with us today.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, buddy.
Have a
See
good
you.
day.
Bye-bye. Hey guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Pest Control Millionaire. We don't charge any money for the show, but the podcast isn't free. Please like and subscribe and give us a 5-star review in your favorite podcast app. This makes a huge difference for us. If you have any specific questions about your business or your personal life that you'd like answered by me or any of my podcast guests, please send an email to info@pestcontrolmillionaire.com. And if you want to get in touch with me about our marketing class, we do a live version every Thursday night. Check out our website at pestcontrolmillionaires.com. Thank you guys for listening. I'll see you guys in the next one.